What if I told you that Minecraft, one of the most popular games ever made, has an edge, not a wall, not a fence, not something the developers built on purpose, a place where the entire world simply breaks apart, where the laws of the game stop making sense, where blocks twist and stretch in ways they were never meant to, where the code itself stops working? It is called the Farlands. And it is one of the greatest, most mysterious secrets that Minecraft has ever hidden from its players. Most people have never seen it. Most people don't even know it exists. But the ones who have seen it will never forget it. So let's talk about what it actually is. Minecraft generates its world using something called a noise algorithm. Think of it like a mathematical recipe. Every time the game needs to create new terrain, it follows this recipe to decide where to put hills, where to carve out valleys, where to dig caves, and where to fill in oceans. That algorithm is what makes every Minecraft world feel unique. Every mountain, every river, every forest, all of it comes from this one system running quietly in the background. But here's the thing about algorithms. They have limits. There is a limit to how far this particular algorithm can count before it starts making mistakes. And that limit is not random. It is incredibly specific. Exactly 12,550,821 blocks away from where you spawn. That is the number. That is the line. Cross that line and something extraordinary happens. The algorithm overflows, like a calculator that runs out of digits and starts showing nonsense numbers. The math breaks down. The system that was supposed to create normal terrain completely loses control, and the terrain generation fails completely, catastrophically, beautifully. What you get on the other side of that line is unlike anything else in the game. A massive twisted wall of terrain stretching across the entire world, not flat like a wall you might build, not smooth, not regular. It stretches infinitely upward past the clouds, past the build limit, seemingly forever into the sky. It plunges infinitely into the ground, deeper than any cave, deeper than bedrock should allow. And it is full of holes, tunnels that go nowhere, caves inside caves, inside caves. Impossible geometry that should not exist, but somehow does. This is where Minecraft breaks, and it is genuinely, unexpectedly, breathtakingly beautiful. Nobody planned the Farlands. This was not a feature. This was not something Notch sat down and designed. Notch himself did not even know they existed at first. The creator of Minecraft had no idea that this broken, beautiful place was hiding inside his own game. Players discovered them completely by accident. Someone decided one day to travel impossibly far from their spawn point. Maybe they were bored. Maybe they were curious. Maybe they just wanted to see what was out there. And they found something nobody expected. When the first screenshot spread online, the reaction was immediate disbelief. Nobody believed they were real. People said they were edited, photoshopped, impossible. Because how could something like this exist inside a game that was supposed to generate normal terrain forever? But they were completely real. Every pixel, every impossible twisted block, all of it generated naturally by a broken algorithm doing its best with numbers it could not handle. The Farlands were real, and they were hiding in plain sight inside every copy of Minecraft in the world. For years after their discovery, the Farlands existed in every single version of Minecraft. Every player who owned the game had access to them. Players could walk there if they had the patience. They could fly there with cheats. They could teleport directly to the coordinates if they wanted to see it instantly. The Farlands were always there, waiting, at the edge of every world. Then, in October 2011, Notch released Minecraft Beta 1.8, a major update, a game-changing update. And buried inside that update, almost as a footnote, was a fix. The noise algorithm was corrected. The overflow was patched. The mathematical mistake that had created the Farlands was quietly efficiently, permanently repaired. And just like that, the far lands were gone. No announcement, no ceremony, no goodbye. The most famous glitch in Minecraft history was simply erased overnight. Every new world generated from that point forward would stretch on forever in perfectly normal terrain. No twisted walls, no impossible geometry, no broken edges. The far lands existed for years, and then they didn't. But one man refused to let them disappear. His name is KurtJMac, a YouTuber, a gamer, a charity fundraiser, and without any doubt, the most patient, most dedicated, most determined person in the entire history of Minecraft. To understand what Kurt did, you first need to understand what he was up against. In March 2011, before the far lands were even removed from the game, Notch himself made a statement on Twitter. The creator of Minecraft, the man who accidentally built the far lands into his own game, said publicly that no player would ever walk to the far lands. He said it would simply take too long, that no human being had that kind of patience, that the journey was, for all practical purposes, impossible. Kurt saw that tweet, and Kurt decided to prove him wrong. He made a choice that most people would consider completely unreasonable. He loaded up an old version of Minecraft, specifically Beta 1.7.3, the last version where the far land still existed, untouched, uncorrected, waiting at the edge of the world. He created a new world. He found his spawn point. He looked toward the horizon in the direction of the far lands, and on March 22nd, 2011, he took his very first step. That step would become one of the longest journeys in gaming history. Kurt named his series Far Lands or Bust, and the name told you everything you needed to know about his attitude. Either he reaches the far lands, or he keeps walking until something stops him. The rules he set for himself were simple and strict. Every episode he would walk, just walk. No running commands, no speed boosts, no flying, no teleportation, no cheats of any kind. Just a single player in survival mode, walking forward, one block at a time, one step at a time. No flying, no cheats, no shortcuts, nothing that would make it easier, nothing that would make it faster. Just pure, honest survival mode, walking toward an impossible destination. While he walked, he talked to his audience. He shared stories. He noticed things about the Minecraft world that most players never bother to look at because they are always in a hurry to get somewhere. And he collected charity donations. Every single episode, Kurt raised money for an organization called Child's Play, a charity dedicated to providing games and toys to children stuck in hospitals around the world. He turned what could have been a meaningless, impossible walk into something genuinely meaningful. Every step forward was not just a step toward the far lands, it was a step toward helping real children in real hospitals have a slightly better day. Year 1 passed. The world watched. Kurt was still walking. He crossed biomes. He crossed oceans. He walked through forests and deserts and mountains and plains. The Minecraft world stretched on endlessly ahead of him, and Kurt just kept moving through it. Year 2. Still walking. By now, people were starting to understand that this was not a joke. This was not a short series that would end after a few months. Kurt was genuinely committed. He genuinely intended to finish what he started. Year 5. Still walking. The world outside Minecraft changed enormously during those years. Minecraft itself updated dozens of times. New biomes were added, new mobs, new mechanics, new dimensions. The game Kurt was walking through in Year 5 barely resembled the game he had started in Year 1. New games came out. Entire genres rose and fell in popularity. Trends came and went. YouTubers who started around the same time as Kurt came and went too. But Kurt just kept walking. Over 800 episodes were recorded and uploaded. Over 14 years of consistent, dedicated content. A number that is almost impossible to comprehend when you think about it. 800 episodes, all of the same person, walking in the same direction, toward the same destination. A community grew around his journey. Not a small community. A genuinely devoted group of people who had been following along for years, sometimes for their entire lives. They watched every single episode with him. Not because each episode was dramatically different from the last, but because the journey itself had become something they were part of, something they owned a piece of. They cheered him on through every milestone. They donated to Child's Play in his name, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars across the years. They waited with him patiently, the way you wait for something you know is eventually going to happen, but you don't know exactly when. Tragedy touched the journey in 2022 when a beloved member of the community passed away. It was a reminder that this was no longer just a video game series. Real people had invested real parts of their real lives into this journey. The walk had become bigger than any game. It had become a community, a tradition, a shared experience stretching across more than a decade. Then in 2025, something incredible happened. After 14 years of walking, the numbers started to change. The coordinates on Kurt's screen told a story that nobody had ever seen before in the history of the game. He was getting close. The terrain started looking different, subtle at first, easy to miss if you weren't paying attention. But Kurt had been paying attention for 14 years. He noticed immediately. The ground began behaving strangely. Blocks that should have been flat started stretching. Terrain that should have been normal started twisting. The familiar rules of Minecraft world generation were starting to bend and break at the edges. And then he saw it. On the horizon. Unmistakable. Impossible to mistake for anything else. The far lands. Right there. Real. After everything. After 14 years and 800 episodes and millions of individual steps forward, the thing he had been walking toward was finally visible. Kurt stopped for a moment, just stood there looking at it, and then he kept walking. On October 4th, 2025, KurtJMac reached the far lands. After 14 years, after 800 episodes, after hundreds of thousands of dollars raised for charity, after a community built around a single impossible walk, after Notch said it could never be done, KurtJMac walked to the edge of Minecraft, and he made it.